Bry Guy here with another Pixels Refreshed. Feel free to click the notification button in the corner or click like and subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video. So today we're going to be going into one of my favorite game franchises of all time in preparation for Metroid Dread next month. So what we are going to look into is the Metroid series this month. So, I mean, Metroid is one that I've been playing since I was a little kid. I have every game in the franchise. I played it on every platform over and over and over again. I have enjoyed it even while they're hunting or other emming, whatever that means. And yeah, I've done the Prime trilogy. Typically, I have a Metroid dream every year, and then I play original Prime again because I just love these games so much. Fusion and Zero Mission have a close place in my heart. Today, we're actually going to be looking into Zero Mission. I thought that we would use this month to look into the art and how they pulled off these games. So, anyways, I'm looking forward to this, and I'm excited to go through these with all of you. So, today we're going to be playing as much of Metroid Zero Mission as I can, and I'm going to be going into the art and the animation and everything that they did with this game. So, if you're ready, let's get started. Okay. So, start again. Okay. So, anyways, right away we get kind of pixel art cutscenes. You got, you know, these cascades, you got moving clouds. That's something that was pretty uncommon on the Super Nintendo. You see it a little bit, but it wasn't that common. You have these cutscenes. One thing you'll find about Metroid Zero Mission's aesthetic is it has a very comic booky look through the entire game. So that cutscene, it had like a 2-pixel outline around it with kind of anti-aliasing. So it was trying to look like it was higher resolution than it was on the Gameboy Advance. It wasn't trying to look like pixel art, even though it was pixel art. Anyways, so initially the animations are quite nice. You got these it's a beautiful run cycle on Samus. It's less stiff, so you can see right away that Samus's run cycle, she's leaning forward just a little bit more on the run, and it makes it look a little bit more natural compared to Super Metroid. In Super Metroid, Samus was kind of more upright, and it made the run look a little bit more awkward. These Chozo statues are awesome. Curious how they animated them. They keep the body static, and then they animate the limbs. I'm just curious what the sprite makeup of that is. So it's just the legs, really, that move. Okay. Let's do this. Oh, bad mistake. So it's kind of interesting because they use, instead of using a black outline or a blue outline, they use a red outline to really make the edges of what's playable pop. And I'm sure that would have done a really good job on an actual Game Boy Advance screen. Alright, so I like how they have this like stark, it is a little bit comic booky looking, but they have this stark black background, and then they really pop the foreground elements out of it. Now, when you come in here, it gives you a monochromatic color palette. Everything's in shades of blue, and it creates like a sense of peace and calm and cohesion that feels very different from the other areas. So, anyways, that's a nifty little thing. This bat's animation's pretty good. Little particle when they die. You'll notice, like, one of the big issues with Game Boy Advance is that the audio quality wasn't great. Everything sounded a little bit compressed. You can find that if you play especially like Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6, and you compare those to their Super Nintendo counterparts, the audio quality is considerably worse. So let's just go over here and take a look at these awesome statues. So these giant, nice, like, sprites, those are quite good, and those would have been hard to do on Super Nintendo. You just didn't have enough memory to do a lot of sprite work like that. So this is kind of one thing where you see a Game Boy Advance advantage comparatively. A lot of like extra secondary sprites as well. Like when I went into that room with the bosses, they had little creatures and stuff in that specific area. Sorry, little grasses and stuff popping up. overall, really good animation and stuff, especially for the time. I love the emphasis, the trail of the character. It doesn't seem to have that many samples of trail comparatively to other games, but like Castlevania definitely goes much further with that. Okay. Ah, they're hinting at those bugs early, eh? I can save. So these save spots, I love these save spots. The way that they expand the sprite and they reveal layers that make it look like both emissive and the top part opens up and then spreads down. It's just a really good animation to make something feel technical like that. Got my missiles. So this area, they kind of even hint as you go deeper into this area that it's leading towards another area by the color palette shift. They go away from the green into the background into a yellow. Okay. Oh, come on. Back up. He gets to open his eye again. Away. Again. You only get one shot at him, and then you have to kind of trigger him again, but he slows down the game because you get the charge beam from him. So if you miss this opportunity, it ruins your speed run. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Anyways. You can get him to come back. I was going to go up this way anyways. So we need to get the bomb. Little tiny bit more latency playing on here than normal. Oops. So as we're coming into this, we're coming into like this bubbly, eggy area, and then the background changes again. Once again, it's kind of that comic-y, dark, contrasted type area, but it's still a big change in terms of visual assets. So it looks like they're going to do the boss fight again here. So here you get the charge beam. Nice. Like the flip animation's really nice for the character as it flips around. I love the flip in the trail. Okay, good. Now I get another health. That'll lighten the load over here. And we're going to progress until we get the more ball. The bomb, sorry. We already have the ball. Down, yeah. Oh, this is the map room. Yeah, so there's the bomb we need. This map room's pretty cool too. The machine doesn't really expand, but, well, I guess it does expand, so it expands and shrinks, and then they cycle between those lights in the background. So, pretty cool, just, like, ways to use layers to make things feel very animated. So, like, those who don't know, those assets are just kind of revealing more art behind them, which is a really smart way to do it. So it's like they just draw extra sprites, and then when the layers separate, you see the extra machinery behind it. So yeah, really, really smart use of art. Bomb. Nice. There's a missile over here. high jump, you get to jump the ball too. Perfect. Okay. Now we have the bomb. There's a bunch of stuff we can get. First and foremost, they want you to kill these things. They're just introducing these to you. Technically, they kill plants and stuff. You have to use them later on. I love that game. So good. So, those who don't know, Metroid Zero Mission is a remake of the first Metroid. So, it's a pretty big difference in the aesthetic take on it, going from the NES to the GBA, and obviously taking more inspiration from Super Metroid than it did from the original Metroid visually. So it's kind of like a comic-ier, more Super Nintendo level Metroid game. Like most Game Boy Advance games, in some ways it does things that are a little bit hard for the Super Nintendo. In some ways it's a little bit behind, obviously. So Game Boy Advance had a wider screen, but it was a lower resolution overall than Super Nintendo, especially on the top and the bottom, because it was I don't know the exact aspect ratio, but maybe it was 16:10. It wasn't 16:9, but it wasn't a 4:3 aspect ratio. So a lot of the games, when they ported them from Super Nintendo to Game Boy Advance, they would be cropped on the top and the bottom. So just a slight difference between, other games and specifically. While they aesthetically are very similar, they had to be built somewhat differently just due to the limitations of the platform itself. Game Boy Advance couldn't mode Type 7, but it could do similar effects in different ways. Okay. Now this is one you can get now, but it's a pain. It's worth the time I'm losing. Okay. Okay. Some of these things are just so much easier to get later in the game. It's like you can get them now, but should you? Probably not. Okay. Let's go this way. And we'll go down to the new area. So yeah, you can see as we come into this, the color starts transitioning as it kind of gets us ready mentally to move into the next area. So yeah, these cutscenes, you can see they're very comic-based. There's a lot of black in them, so they're very... Considering, I wonder who the exact development team of this was, but this is like really cool. If I make a game like this, you're going to see cutscenes like this. I'd love like the pixel art cutscenes like that. Okay, follow that, drop through. Can't go the other way, but I'm pretty sure this way is where we have to go first. So I think we gotta get the... Now, this you can get now, but it's easier on the way back. So this area here has more kind of like Magmor Caverns kind of aesthetic. You have the red in the background. So it's changed that background palette once again, and now it's an analogous color scheme between purple and red. But we're leaving the area already to go back to the criteria. We'll loop around in a second, but this is where you get this testing. That's just, when they put that thing there, it's literally just checking to make sure you're not speedrunning and cheating. through some means where you got past an area you're not supposed to. Okay. So they don't even show you what these items that you get are until the very end of the game. Down just a little bit. Perfect. Okay. Should I heal? It's a waste of time, but it's good to get some healing in. Okay, moving on. Great, great. Moving over here. Shoot this corner. So this area here is pretty cool. That water effect is interesting too. Curious how they did it, whether they were distorting pixels or not. We need the ledge grab over here. Okay. Really cool big sprite here. Same here, you got these cool statues. Power grip. It's just flashing on and off, but this is a great Chozo statue. So you definitely don't see anything like that level of art on the Super Nintendo. Like the actual amount of just the size of that sprite and the way that they did it. It's an aesthetic change that is very different than what you would have seen. This is like, as people started to get more of a knack for what to do in pixel art. You got this cool rock wall in the background and big relic statues there. Okay, is there a secret? Let's go. Okay, so this brings you back to your ship. So if you need to heal, I landed right in it. I don't have a choice. Really cool flashing the lights on the ship like that. They did a good job animating it with that. And these moving clouds are nice with a little bit of transparency over that ground. It's great. Okay. So now we can exit this area. I think there's an item we can get over here if we want. I don't know if it's worth it. Fusion has a really great environment like this. Oh, I can't go here yet. Okay. Right. Yeah, I really like that water layer. It's interesting. These sprites are really cool too. The little plant sprites. I probably would have animated them a little bit, but I don't know what kind of RAM limitations they would have had on the Game Boy Advance, but I wouldn't assume it would be a ton. Every once in a while they'll trick you by putting another one like right here. Really liked the aesthetic, the fact that your character is like the only thing that popped off this analogous color space. Everything exists between this kind of like pinkish purple and red hue. It's just a really nice analogous space. It's like the 5-frame idle on that character. So you can do the bomb jump to get this missile over here, or you can wait till you get the ledge grab and then you can just literally grab the ledge, and it's much faster to just grab the ledge. It's interesting how they just do a bubble of white, like gray-white pixels, and that creates the illusion of transparency on that sprite. Love the machinery and stuff in the background, and this base tile set's really nice too. I mean, they're big tiles. It looks like they're probably 16 by 16 or kind of typical for Super Nintendo generation games. And then you come into this area, it gives a very different feel. I remember this area in the original game was kind of infuriating, and all of the secrets and stuff in the area were very hard to read. So it's like the difference moving to Zero Mission from that is pretty dramatic. I'm super for health. Well, let's see what I get here. This is the Ice Beam. Now you can climb to a couple places you couldn't climb before. So let me up. I know that there's very few times that they actually hide something over here at some point in the stage, but it's always worth checking just in case. What's this? It's just in the same spot there. That capsule with that light moving up is really nice, and the other light that moves only masked within your sprite is really cool as well. Okay. So up here. Okay, this will show us where to go next. So back up, probably left, over, down. Yeah, towards Kraid. Great. Okay, so moving on from this. Now we have let's get the first one. Go across, and if you can get this guy right at the edge, pretty sure there's a secret here. There we go. Okay, I think we're safe to go back. I think there's a hot room, yeah. There's a hot room. But still good to mark on the map, so if I forget later, I can come back. Those tunnels are nice. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah, the background's still using that kind of comic book style aesthetic. Okay, now you can go up here and grab this. Anyways. Okay. So this red area in the background, they almost have like pillars. It's kind of interesting how they did it. It seems a little flat, like it's very little use of parallax, but there is a lot of kind of detail in it. Which is nice. Alright. Oh, I was hoping the jump would kill it. Sometimes it can. Run cycle's nice. Charge is nice. You know, in Metroid, it's sometimes a lot easier to just push the button quickly than it is to charge and shoot. It's like it takes off more damage, and there's very little point in charging. But compared to Mega Man, where there's always a point in charging. But yeah, Metroid, there's not as much. Okay, so you can go up there, but there's really no point until you get the high jump. You can do that entire top stretch later. Through the areas. I like these like little bits of mechanical things that they just kind of stick out of the environment. It's nice. Changing it up between like rock layers and Okay, material layers. Ooh, take the heal. Why not? Okay, this might take me a minute, but I want this healing pack right here. So you can, if you can get the bomb jump right, you can get right to it. And then, so there's a couple ways you can get it. You either wait till you get the high jump or you use the bomb jump. Or the screw attack when you get that. I love the enemy sprites in this game. They just feel so alien. There's these little weird floaty things, and all of these enemies and stuff are great. Okay. Green globs taking over everything. This, I don't think you can do this yet. Maybe you can. Oh yeah, this one you can do. It's the next one you can't do yet. Is there anything over this one? It's over here. Oh, it's just a secret. This. Okay. This. So this is cool as we get into the mechanical. Now there's some things that you can see that they're trying to, like with that background layer, there's so many colors in it that it looks like it's trying to not be pixel art, which is interesting, right? It's just, there's so much of a gradient that it's kind of almost a softness to it. So it's like giving off and not a very pixel arty look, which is fine. I think at this point in time, it was because they were forced to do pixel art, they were kind of hoping to get away from it more, versus when games do it now and they're really trying to embrace it. It's just a different kind of feel. In there. Charges up these platforms and get them to start working, and now you can go across. Get a health item, which is great. Now, oddly enough, I don't know if you need to fight this boss. I'm trying to think if you do. You need to turn on those platforms, but this boss here, I don't know if you actually need to fight it. Yeah, you gotta wait till the last minute, and then you have to go across. He just takes a while to kill. He's actually one of the like harder bosses in the game to kill, actually. Not because he's hard, because he just has a bit too much health. Alright, here. So this is a nice big sprite. I like the size of the sprite. I mean, clearly they're duplicating the midsection, so it's a section. It's like using that ball technique I talk about all the time for classic games, except it's a much larger, like the balls themselves are larger comparatively to what you would see on most Super Nintendo games. So had a little bit more sprite resources where they could make that work. Okay, now I think there's right here. There's a missile expansion to get down here. How'd they make you move so much for that missile expansion? That's kind of funny. Alright. I used to know where everything in this game was, but not as much anymore. Okay. So yeah, they're trying to give off, like, it's kind of a strange mishmash background. I don't know if I like the distant background layer as much. I like the foreground layer. And these tiles are kind of interesting. They're creating kind of like a weird brick tile pattern that is unusual. They're kind of like alien bricks in a way. They're almost like weird Tetris pieces janked together. Okay. go. Now I'm moving on. I think this has my favorite Ridley sprite in it, for comparatively to all the other versions of Ridley. Okay, so do that part first that I needed to do. Now this side is just a save. I can save. That intensifying glow in the background furnace-y thing is awesome. I love how they push this aesthetic when they go on to Metroid Prime, and I mean this was the last pixel art Metroid, I'm pretty sure. So after this was Metroid, well, I mean, this was after Fusion. So yeah, this definitely was the last pixel art Metroid. So, you know, it's like, it's interesting to see how their designs change over time. I think in most ways it's better than what the aesthetic was on, like, well, from an animation standpoint, it's much further ahead than what they did with even Super Metroid. Like the character animations, they're just understanding of animation is, I would say, significantly stronger. In some ways, the aesthetic in Metroid, Super Metroid is a little bit better, but in some ways this one's better. So if you guys want, I'll do a run through Super Metroid as well. Oh, this one. Okay. I wonder if they're doing that emission by literally just changing the color of the sprite. Like, probably not even animated, it's just cycling through colors. Okay, go this way to this. There we go. Get the unknown item. Ooh, now we can break the fancy blocks. Let's take the health. You gotta add, like, I think one of the big things that made Metroid so great was the lore of all the Chozo, where it's like, I don't know, I mean, it's common now, but I don't think it was that common at that point in time to use so much of your sprite resources on just, like, background stuff to create kind of like an emotional feel in that regard. And the music's like, Metroid 1 creeped me out more than I think almost any other NES game that I had. And I mean, yeah, I wouldn't call it particularly creepy now, but it is odd. Like, I would say that its weirdness still shines through. Speedrunners will hate the fact that I'm saving nonstop, but I'm just so worried about losing progress. I think this is, I think this might be one of my favorite Samus, like, sprites, the initial Samus sprite. Like, I would say that I definitely prefer this to Super Metroid. I'm torn between this and Fusion. Fusion has a great Samus sprite as well. Ooh, those frames. So yeah, another one of these cutscenes. Quick. Now it's going to be slower. It's hard to get around his arm space. That's a huge sprite. So, I mean, I get, like, the body and most of that is just moving up and down, but that is an absolutely massive sprite. There's no way they could have done a sprite that large on a Super Nintendo game. I don't think. I mean, someone might prove me wrong, there might be one that big, but that is an absolutely massive sprite. I get, like, really the only animated parts other than moving up and down are the fingers and the head, but that still would have been a lot of memory resources at the time. This is the speed booster. This is great. It's going to speed up the whole game. Now, a lot of people don't even realize one of the neat things about the speed booster is that you can charge it by pushing down. I mean, any hardcore Metroid fan knows that, but a lot of more passive Metroid fans don't. So what I mean by that is at any point in time, you can push down, and then you can store your run. So here, we have to use the run here, but I'll see if I can use it over there. You can do it from here. So you build up your speed, shoot this, and when you get all the way over, if you push down, you can jump and you can like literally dash up like that. So very, very useful technique. I didn't have to do any of the jumping or anything in that area. I could just dash straight up, which is awesome. Oh, that's the worst. Oh, let's see. What's here? Yeah, it was worth coming down for the missile expansion, I guess. That's why I came down. Definitely didn't just fall. Back up here. Are you kidding me? It's just shooting this thing. Okay, sorry. Apologize to anyone watching this. Diagonal one. Okay. Don't shoot. Save my shots. And missiles work way better at that. Okay, so now we're back here. Where to next? I mean, I can leave this area. There's a bunch of stuff you can get, but you don't really have to. That's all the mandatory stuff, and anything else is just kind of optional. Now, this one, I think what you do is, no, if I remember correctly, there's a way to cheat this one. Supposed to come up through this way when you go down the other way. You can come back up through this path, but you don't really need to. Hopefully it's not a helmet stage down there, though. I'm supposed to go to Ridley, yeah. This is the new parts. This wasn't in the original Metroid, showing us the space pirates coming in. Ridley is landing. It's cool that they're giving you a sense of the character of Ridley. Let's scale some sprites. Okay. That. this tells us where to go next. It wants us to go to the top, is that right? Warfare. Alright. Wants us to drop down into Norfair. We can do that. Like this big creepy like owl like thing in the background. You know, I think that the best thing, like, having spent years doing pixel art, and it's like, with this, obviously they did a really good job making things look really lit, and finding a very flexible art style that looks really good on the platform. I mean, I would definitely argue this is one of the better looking Game Boy Advance games. And, you know, very few of them have actually stood up quite as well against the test of time the way that specifically this, and I mean Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga and a couple of other Game Boy Advance games did, that weren't just a Super Nintendo port. Because not that those Super Nintendo ports weren't great, because they were, but they weren't really taking advantage of the advantages that Game Boy Advance have, which my guess would be like just a considerably larger pool of RAM for just much larger assets, as well as being able to maybe animate more robustly, just having more resources so they could do more frames in animation, and just, you know, push kind of the aesthetic of pixel art in a way. You know, it was kind of weird because the handhelds kept bringing Nintendo back to pixel art, right? Because the consoles, right? So it was like at this point in time, I mean, this you could pair with the GameCube, right? So if you had Metroid Prime on GameCube and Fusion, you pair them together, you could unlock the original Metroid, and you also unlocked Prime outfits in Metroid Prime outfits in Metroid Fusion outfits in Metroid Prime, which is something I did. Played them. Funnily enough, I think the texture resolution looked better in the Fusion outfits than it did in the actual, like, official Prime outfit on Prime. So I think there's like a visual improvement to using the Fusion outfit, even if it's, I guess, not as aesthetically true to the game. Drop down. You gotta do the same thing again. Seahorse enemy. A nice little turn animation. Okay. Let's go over here. Okay, this is where you get the high jump? Yes. Nice. And heal, just in case. Speedrunners never heal, so I'm betraying them by having to take advantage. Okay, so we don't have the armor yet, so we can't go there yet. Good to know. And the high jump enables us to go to a new area. I don't think there's much we can do if we go down there right now. You can get this. But I don't think you can do this part yet. I think there's a big bug thing in the way. So you can't get enough of a run. So if you come here, yeah, you can't get enough of a run. This thing's in the way. Pretty sure you can't do anything here yet either. So this just lets you exit. So this shows us where we need to go next. Okay. Kind of weird that they didn't change the color of that trail as it moved down. They kept it as the base color. I probably would have picked a different color. I mean, it's mostly just trying to simulate motion blur. Okay, so we can blast through this now. You don't want to go too high. This is kind of cool because you can actually skip the vast majority of this part here. Just bursting through these walls, which is fun. Metroid always lets you have fun like that to explore a new area. Okay. Where's these guys? I could just do one now, though. Oh, yeah, do both. Those enemies are pretty cute. I think they have like, it might only be like 2 or 3 frames to their overall animation set. It's always remarkable when you can do an enemy and make them that simple and have them be fully functioning as far as the game's concerned. They just like literally fly out and up and then dash over. And like the enemy's clearly like inspired by some kind of beetle, just like these guys are some kind of turtle or something. Okay, so we gotta climb the top. Our new high jump and frost jump to reach the very pinnacle. Or is it just this? Yeah, it's just this. So they have those little legs that make them walk up. It looks like they're using almost some kind of, like they put these backgrounds 1 pixel off the far backgrounds to give them almost like a blur that they didn't necessarily intend on otherwise. I don't know how else to word it. That drooping animation on that enemy is great. Okay, so this. We need to freeze this. Freeze it. Come on. I guess we'll grow back and we'll go a little bit closer again. Okay. So we have to wait for these guys to kill this. Nothing we can do about it. It's a cute little sprite. I'm just curious if it has more than just a couple of frames of animation. A little drooping animation is this. It's decomposed. It's pretty nice. Mostly just a color change, and then they have the cycle where all of these things break off, which is cool. This. Okay, now we get the Varia suit, which lets us go underwater and in extreme climates, but we don't get to move at full speed. So it's kind of like a mid-gen refresh. Now there's a slight sprite change. I don't know if it's just a color shift with this one or if it makes the shoulders slightly bigger. I would have to really compare. I don't have enough memory of the other one to even know. But now we can go down and get this here. Obviously, despite the fact that you move crazy slow, it's always worth it for energy or health. Oh, it's this one. Is it shootable? Okay. Health up. Now this Varia suit lets us go back down into that magma down below. So we have to go back to where we came from. I think if we go over this way, it just lets us scan something. We wouldn't have scanned otherwise. We can go check. Pull that up now. Man, never been over this way yet. There is stuff you can get down there. I just don't want to spend time on it. It just takes too long. Oh, there's a secret over here. Oh yeah, you can bring these guys over to this. I did get enough of them. Oh, save. Okay, let's grab the rest. Oh, I guess I gotta go back into this area and then back. All of them. Right now. I don't think you get much from this other than just being able to enter into this area here. And then it tells you where to go. Okay, now we're going to Ridley, I believe. Okay. You can jump up that way, but it is a nightmare. Okay. You don't even like bothering shooting them, but I don't give you a choice. The bomb animation's pretty, I mean, it's like a 5 frame. It seems like the sprite box on it's pretty limited, but I mean, any larger of a sprite on that effect, and you would have thought that it was able to blow up more, and then it would have just communicated a lot differently, but still, it's a nifty little particle explosion. Okay, down we go. Let us get to Ridley as quickly as possible. Shame I didn't have enough of a run just to burst through. That would be great. Come on, where should we get these things? Okay, open this up again. Oh, should we go up first? Since there is the hot room over here. I'm trying to remember what to give you. It's just a missile expansion. I'll find out. I can't remember if this is the one with the secret room afterwards. One of them has a secret room afterwards. No. Right. Rolling on. Sometimes it's not worth some of those things for those missile expansions. Like, missile expansions are good, but as long as you have enough to beat the game, then you don't really need any more, right? It's usually, what, 255 in every Metroid game? Something like that. Is this the room here? No. One more down. Okay, burst through these. Nice. like that blue glow out of the hand. Noticing little animations and stuff now as I go about. There's so many things here where it's like done outright through art, where in a modern game it would be done through some kind of particle effect or something like that. It's like even this like animated tile over this entire scene. It's really all it is. It's just like a tile everywhere, and it's what's communicating. It's what's communicating everything visually on the fact that you're in this dense kind of material, this heat, or whatever specifically they thought it was. This... Okay, run. Hate wasting missiles like that on these guys, but okay, getting closer. Trying to remember. Down there. It's the map. So Ridley's down there. Some kind of expansion over here, and then it'll send me to Ridley. Now you gotta go down there. I'm trying to remember what's over here first. Just a half expansion. Okay. So this is just the short way down over here. Instead of going the other way. This is the path. Ready to go. This is kind of interesting because they look very similar to the other sprites, but now they have like a jet thing behind them. Now, I know you can go down there, but it hurts you. These cool kind of foreground tangled things are good. It looks like they have 3 or 4 for variety there. I think I do have to go down there right away first. Might as well save first though. I think last time I didn't do this and then I regretted it. I think this is the power up we need right now. So it's kind of interesting that you have kind of this more like organic green in the background with the purple on the top. So we're getting the complementary with the red and the green there. Once again, coming into the monochromatic for this room. So it's like they do a pretty good job balancing different types of feelings that you get from different areas. Okay. So now we got the wave beam, which lets us shoot through the wall. Now this guy isn't even a problem anymore. It's kind of interesting that these guys that I'm sure when they play tested it, they found that a lot of people struggled with. That used to be a big problem for them, and they give them the wave beam now, they can shoot through the wall. It's like a really good example of show, because it's like before you couldn't shoot through the wall, and now you can. So, anyways. Good game design. That lets you run through that. Did I miss something back there? No. Okay. Now shoot the bottom of these guys. Okay, time to do this guy. Wait for you back up. Alright. If I recall, yeah. There we go. The health expansion. And now we can run through this to open up the next area. Get this missile expansion. I'm curious, I don't think that you had the dash in the original, so a lot of these areas would have had to been restricted in different ways. Okay. Yes. Now this here. Drops through here, and if you go and then come back, I think all you have to do is go and come back. I don't know if you have to drop down there first. If you go and come back, you should have an area to the new. Oh, he's moving down, but he hasn't moved all the way down yet. Alright, so you do have to go down and then come back. So now we're seeing Ridley land on the planet. So it's kind of interesting because it looks like that was a bunch of actually different sprite size, like size sprites. This is another really large sprite and custom background sprites. So, I mean, they're giving a lot of texture memory for the time on something like this. Other than that single frame slide of Ridley. Okay, so we're just gonna go see the enemy over here first. There we go, enemy has made its way down. Now we can go and go exactly where it came from. This is an interesting boss. I'm pretty sure this one wasn't in the original. Okay. Big fly. Dead? Not yet. Oh, am I out of missiles? You heard it without missiles? Charge shot only? It's a lot harder without missiles. There we go. Now I broke it off. I am in desperate need of some missiles. Super missiles! Charge missiles back from that. Now we can open the door. Here. And regular missiles. Right here, and now we got super missiles. Now they give us some more super missiles pretty much right away. They always do that. It's like such a novelty to receive your first one, and then afterwards it's like they're everywhere. I remember that. I completely forgot about that last time I played. Oh yeah. Mistake on my part. Now I do know you can go up on this side. Okay. This is not ideal. Okay, up we go. Come on, Brian. There we go. Okay. These bad guys. Oh, this is not getting close to dying. You guys take off a lot of damage. Hopefully you get a lot of health back when you hit this. You get all of it. Okay, we're good. Can you float this in? No. Down here. Okay. Oh wait, should I check this over? Is it a safe spot? Yeah, it's just safe. No, whatever. Okay. Yeah, these backgrounds, the distant backgrounds, do look a little bit fuzzy. It's curious. Let's see, get over here. Map. It's gonna tell us to go down to Ridley. Oh, we're already at Ridley, so we're gonna get over that to get to Ridley. Curious where that lava leads. Should I just run it real quick? Is this enough distance? No, it's not enough distance. Interesting. Anyways, that's fine. This one's mansion. Alright. Oof. Getting rusty. What's in this room? Yep. It's just way back or something. Okay. Over here. Over here. Over here. Over here. Don't have that ability yet. Now, one of these, this one of them has a secret that gives you an item. This is not this one. It's gonna be this one. There we go. Which is the item? Missile. Okay. And go back up this one. Yeah. There we go. Jump over. And getting close to Ridley. Oh, I'm pretty low on missiles. A lot of expansions, not very many missiles. It is not ideal. The more missiles I have, the easier it'll be to take out Ridley. Should I have stocked up? This jumps a pain. Oh wait, you should have used that guy as a ramp. give me missiles. Missiles. That's not missiles. Very close to Ridley for no missiles. Got some super missiles, which is nice, but... I want to need more missiles. There we go. Switching between green and purple backgrounds. Kind of nice. Okay, well, I'll have to try and with as many missiles as I have. Now, I think this might be between this and Zero Mission. Sorry, Infusion, but I'm pretty sure. That'll have to be. Okay, one more. Oh, come on. Alright. Here we go. The Ridley room. An unknown item. Oh, does it? I wish this recovered them. Oh, it does recover your missiles. Oh, I wasted all that time for no reason. Lame. Okay. Oh, another energy tank. Huh. They give you a bunch before you even need them. Okay. It's kind of interesting that this is a broken Chozo, that they start kind of, as you go deeper down, they give you that kind of sensation. Comic. Reflection. Nice. Okay. Come on. Hurry me up. Bad luck. This is a beautiful giant Ridley sprite. Like, it's one of my favorites. I know that they have Meta Ridley at the end of this, but I still think this one. Almost died. And now we can go all the way up to Mother Brain. The only problem is traversing it. So yeah, it's like, I think this game overall, like, is just a mixture of really good classical art and animation. The refinement of pixel art from the entire generation of pixel art, going from, you know, from NES to Super NES to you know, N64, and then back to pixel art after N64. And this is kind of the fun thing about the Game Boy Advance, is that all of these people had developed all of these skills over time, and they got to get even better with pixel art. And then they go back into making, you know, the DS and specifically the DS and the Game Boy Advance were great eras for just games having absolutely magnificent pixel art, because people had developed teams over time that were really good at it, and you know, it took a lot of time for them to be able to do that. And the initial pixel art, I feel like, was by people that didn't really... Well, they might have gotten really good at it later, but because it was such a new field, it wasn't well understood, and it wasn't understood how you could translate traditional art into it. And then over time, we got to work more and more with the limitations and figure out ways to make it even better as it went on. And, you know, Nintendo had the classic outline aesthetic, although I don't think Super Metroid has as much of an outline on the characters. But in general, it's an aesthetic used in a lot of their games, especially their pixel art games. Is there a secret over here? Okay. Yes, there is, but... need to beat this guy. Oh, there we go. Alright. Another Mixel expansion. Okay. Down here. Up here, over here. I know there's a secret over here, but I think you need... Oh, there it is. Is there a different entrance point for it? Somewhere over here, maybe? Okay, going all the way up. This is where you get everyone's favorite Metroid move, the screw attack. It's cool that this tunnel that was in art through the background the entire time ended up being used as a, like you travel through it. You go through the background, going past all of these areas that you've already seen before. Now we have the screw attack, which ruins trying to do some jumps to get other things. So there's some things that actually get harder to get when you get the screw attack because you can't freeze and jump on the enemies without accidentally killing them. You can, but it's hard because you have to jump straight up first. You can't jump... if you jump angled at all, it automatically does a screw attack, but if you jump up and then push over, you can jump on top of them. So it's just kind of makes a couple of things a little bit more finicky. Okay, now I just need to go all the way back to the top. Oh, probably just screw attack these guys. These kills. There's a lot of like unlockable things you can get along the way, but they're not really necessary. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how for this they use like that just tiled effect rather than any modern game would be emitting a particle through some kind of particle emitter all over the place. It might not even be a pixel art effect, it might just be... and it's kind of interesting because it's like at some point, in some regards, these devs are rejecting pixel art in like having that background being a little bit more washed out and like specifically trying to create a blur effect and things that aren't kind of true within pixel space. But, you know, it's like on a Gameboy Advance, you really didn't have a choice. This is the resource that you had, right? You just had to make do. This one. Great. Jumped. Come on again. Failing miserably today. Last try. It's worth it for a super missile. Try again. Even though super missile expansion only gives you 2 more missiles. There we Alright. It's funny how when you start getting lots of health in Metroid, you typically just kind of waste it all. You don't mind anymore just walking on. Oh no. Okay. I think this way. Yeah. Okay, so we're good to go. Let's climb up. You don't need to do this anymore. Now you have a screw tag. You can just jump up there. Now there is a secret this way. The run and the ball. I think. Wall, drop down, need to build up the run. Oh, it's the inverse, so it's right here. So build up the run. Over here, you gotta shoot this. Oh, come on. Let's see. Oh, I got pushed down. Okay. Okay, so you gotta get this, you gotta shoot this, you gotta do this. There we go. Break through that, and you can get that secret be able to stop. But it is also a faster way to get to the top. So. I am missing so many items that I could have gotten, but it's okay. I don't know. Anyways. Alright. Let's go get it through the missiles. There we go. Now these open up. Curious how they do the animations. So it's just so they did two different changes in animation. So it looks like they had two different frames for them that they just adjust to at different heights, because it didn't look like they were rotating them. Here we're getting like an actual animated cutscene in pixel art with some Metroids. So it's obviously just the same three assets scaled on top of each other. It's kind of like, makes the space pirates look pretty small though. Okay. First one. No, you get lots more. Takes, I think, 5 or 6 missiles after. You could just super missile. This would be giving me a bunch of super missiles. Curious if it's just one super missile. Yeah, it is. No, to give me a super missile afterwards, it's a good way to save your missiles. We'll see. Not giving me enough super missiles anymore. Definitely speeds up this part though. Haven't lost much health, but I'm pretty sure there's just a save. Maybe I'll just save just in case. These big Metroid sprites are nice. Curious if they are proper resolution, so it looks like the top isn't really animated, it's just flashing on and off, and then sometimes they just happen to roll right back on top of you, just based on the path they pick. There's the layer one. Just blow this layer up. Door's open now. Who sets your door lock? So I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense to set your door lock so that when the Metroids die, they clear out. Let's give Mother Brain a try here. Just need to get my super missile back. Someone give me my super missile. There we go. Okay. Seems to be a bit faster to do it this way. Alright, should be good enough. Let's go. Oh, are you kidding me? Did I seriously waste a super missile on that? Okay. Go back. There. Okay. I love this background layer here. Like, they did such a good job with this background in general. Like, it looks like veins kind of look pulsing into a heart-like shape. Crazy, these stupid shots, like trying to... Okay, now we need... Okay. Get up. Jump. Get up. Get up. Oh my goodness. No. Get up. Okay. The brain sprite's amazing. I love how the spikes and stuff move around. You know, it's a really great giant brain animation. Okay. I don't know how I used to beat this game in like 45, 50 minutes. It just seems like impossible to me now, but this is what happens when you're young and you have a lot more time on your hands. Oh my gosh. Okay, keep going. Jumping up. Oh, they have a minute and a half left. Are you kidding me? If I don't make this, this is going to be terrible. Okay, climbing up. There. Okay. Let's see if we can make it out in time. Go. Now this is where the original Metroid would end. So if you were playing the classic, this is where the story of the original ends. And then what Zero Mission extends it so that when you get away here, you get blasted back down. And you have to explore in the Zero suit, which is the armor broken off. A little bit too close to zoom into that sprite. It's kind of weird because we're getting like this pixel mismatches here as the vehicles like scale up and stuff using the Gameboy Advance's scaling abilities. I really hope that I get to make a game like this and do these kind of pixel art cutscenes to kind of storytell. I mean, I think they do a better job than the text here. Not that I'm reading it right now, but I think that, you know, they convey the fear and everything around this. I have no health. Pretty cool that they made like a completely alternative Samus sprite just for this. They couldn't do a full outline on her head because they didn't want to make her head look too big, which is interesting. So they have it on parts of the head, but not all of it. Now something is watching us, whatever it may be. See the map of the place. This is cool because this is kind of their ability to kind of show their artistic abilities here. Because, you know, they didn't have to try to recreate anything for the first time in this area, so they were really free to kind of just make whatever they wanted. So they just go a little bit crazier with the color palettes. You can see on these kind of big column things here, and then obviously they get a lot more mechanical. So they have this one big sprite in the back, like big tile section that they repeat over and over here. Yep. Okay. So that's showing us the mechanic. They're using base kind of tiles for the area. Now if we can get through this without tripping these, then it gets better for us, but we do have to trip them here. They don't give us a choice. Kind of crazy that all of a sudden you can't really hurt them anymore. I mean, they made her equal to, they made her equivalent to, you know, regular Samus in Smash, but in this, when she doesn't have her armor, there's quite a big difference between the two. So they made so much of this environment destructible just so that it would be somewhat annoying if you accidentally shoot it. Remember that ship. It's going to be important later. Yeah, you might as well save. So they have a completely different save effect when you save as Samus, as Zero Suit, which is kind of cool there. The light shooting up. Maybe they did have that before and I just didn't pay attention to it, but Kind of crazy. Our eyes are just like green individual pixels. So this is the first time we're seeing like these kind of fencing things here in the scaffolding like platforms. This one forces you now to be hidden from them. Okay. This is the second phase. It's kind of weird because they're just like literally flickering yellow spheres, which I'm sure probably, I don't know, this is definitely areas where like modern shaders would make a big difference in a game like this. Okay. Ooh. Oh, come on. Oh, hate it. Am I supposed to go that way or this way? I'm supposed to go... Is it this way? Outside for a little bit. Interesting, we're being chased into a ruin so quickly we kind of don't even get a chance to focus on it. But it's cool. Now we're in like some big Chozo ruins, and we're kind of seeing these echoed blocks that we saw in the labyrinth right here on the back wall. Those weird like Tetris-like background pieces. So there's consistency that they're doing through that design. They're using the Chozo design overall very consistently to create a kind of believable world. Faded block sections in the background. I'm not the biggest fan of that big, it looks almost like a 3D asset that they took and turned into a pixel art sprite for this back brick tile there. I like the pillars there better. Okay, you gotta jump before you fall down. And now, more pacing yourself. Oh, wasted it. This way. Shoot. There we go. Now, if you go here, he just hides. He can get you. It's a little bit there. Better to hide here. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Fine, I'll go that way. So they're showing us the power bomb that when we get up there will be gone. It's teasing you something that, yeah, you won't be able to get. When you go over this way, you can, I think you can see them carrying it at some point in time. Yeah, so you can see them carrying it over here. I'm just gonna get chased. I don't want to wait. So they use the red outlines consistently through this entire game on all of their assets as just a consistent means of communicating to the players what's interactable ground. I mean, it's smart. Go. Now we go over here and save. Might as well get the health. It's pretty cool how they represented her with such few pixels there. It's actually a really nice sprite. The run animation's pretty good. It's a little up too much on the arm when it goes up. Just like kind of shoots up for a split second, but another one of those pixel art cutscenes. Trying a little bit too hard not to be. This looks like it was maybe just drawn and then kind of scanned in and tried to turn into low resolution art. Okay. It's kind of cool that it just uses wherever your character is on their run cycle and it flips it and puts it in the orb. If you shoot it when it's in that state, it hurts you, not... Oh, see. It hurts you, not the... Oh, I missed. Come on. There we go. Just one more time. Oh, come on. Okay. They really don't give you much time on... Okay. Now we get to confront yourself. This area kind of feels weird to me. Like, it doesn't feel like equivalent artistically to the other areas. This ring's kind of funny too. They just have like a sparkle animation appear on various little parts. And now we finally get those things that we earned before translated for us. So that one was gravity suit. And this one was the space jump. Now we can fly like crazy. There we go. The last suit. Front view for it's pretty nice. Pink. Fly out of here. Now they're showing you how beefed up you are, that these bad guys aren't a problem for you at all anymore. They used to give you so much trouble. And we can move through water at full speed. It's kind of a shame because by the time that we get this power, you can't really do anything with it. I still have the alarm, but it barely does anything anymore. I think there's something over here. Yeah, there is. No, I'm gonna have to do this because just screwed attack through there. Nothing affects you. So if you have time, you can go back and you can get everything that was previously in the game now, and it's super easy to get it. It just takes time to go and go through all of the spaces for it, because now your abilities aren't holding you back at all, and there's some really good stuff you can get. It's down. That's a faster way up. There's something in here. Up here. Here. What's over here? There we go. Evolves a lot better than what I had before. It's crazy how they go from like trying to make you scared of all of this stuff and making these enemies feel so powerful to making them like an absolute cakewalk. It's cool how they did that, how they made the transformation for the armor make you feel so powerful, right? It like completely changed the nature of this entire area. So now this enemy's hiding from you the way that you were hiding from him. It's like little subtleties like that. It's funny. The Space Pirates, I think, they're still pretty based off of what they look like in Super Metroid, so they are a bit stiffer compared to a lot of the other enemies in the game, but they really pile you up with super missiles in the last area. It's like where the vast majority of them are in the game. In this room, but now we can see the ship. The only people that your screw attack doesn't kill right now, I think, the black ones. Yeah, the black space pirates. So I think the black ones are the strongest ones in this. I think the red is the standard. I can't remember if there's any other colors. There are in Prime. Shoot that first. Kind of annoying that you can blow up that many. It's like, doesn't really do anything other than slow you down. This is almost the end. Alright. Save spot here. The save spots in this area heal you, where the ones the rest of the game don't. Here. This part here. And it's just like making you want the power bomb so bad. There we go. There you go. You guys are hiding and wait for you. Okay. Well, let's just do a quick save, because this is the end. After this, it's just the last boss left. Making you show you've done the Powerball part before you can finish. There is a health expansion down there. So this is kind of cool. You get these kind of like wavy background tiles in that last area. Very nice. Okay. Saving this tile set here in the background. So this looks almost more like custom art, like not like a tile set outright. And we get this cool pulling animation, which is really just 2 different frames for the hands. Okay, raise this up. Up. really comparably not that hard, to be honest. But cool sprite, really cool sprite. A little too weak against super missiles. I mean, you have to hit them with them, but I think that's a beautiful giant sprite, though. Okay, there we go. We have 5 minutes to finish the game. Come on. So here, here. It's interesting that they only flash the tiles and they don't flash the background. I mean, I guess it just helps you communicate still what's ground and what's not. If they flash the entire screen, which, I mean, I get why they'd be tempted to do, but it would make it too distracting to play properly. So by just flashing the ground tiles, they keep the terrain very clear and how you can navigate, but they can increase the sense of urgency still. Missiles don't work on these guys. No. Oh my goodness. I don't lose on these guys. Oh, so close. Oh, there we go. That was Metroid Zero Mission. So, anyways, it's a little cool light reveal on the tail animation. The same kind of thing as they did with the save spot. They're just revealing a layer underneath when they move the tiles, so it looks more animated than it is. It's just scaling using the scaler. And particle animation as well. Like little just explosions that they animated manually. They're just spawning lots of them on top. So yeah. Anyways, not my best playtime, but this is, it's one of the best, one of my favorite, like, games that I used to play all the time. It still holds up, like, the pixel art in it is relatively good. It's kind of the end of the life of the Gameboy Advance, and it shows well. Like, the resolution's low. If you were to make a modern pixel art game, you would probably do it about 3 to 4 times the resolution of what you see here, but there's kind of a nice crudeness to this. There's some stuff that they wouldn't do, like the way that they do some of the backgrounds and the distant backgrounds and blur them. And I mean, the tiles are a little limited for them, but they have some beautiful big sprites. The Ridley and the Kraid and the Mother Brain and the final sprite are really nice. So the final Meta Ridley sprite was really, really nice. So I think I think overall the Ridley sprite in this is probably my favorite from all of the Ridley sprites. But you know, good giant sprites are hard to do, right? And when they look good and they work well, they're wonderful. So I think the run cycles and all the animations were done relatively well. I mean, there's definitely some compromises in regards of like how many frames of animation that things have, or like just a lot of excessive art. But there's a lot more art content in here than was typical in both Game Boy Advance and Super Nintendo games. So I'm still pretty impressed on that regard. The color palettes were really well done. There was good color harmony in the scenes, and they were good at emitting the sense of mood. I don't know if the comic aesthetic that they pulled into this one specifically, I mean, obviously they kind of got rid of it after this one, and for good reason, because it wasn't really necessary, and I guess it was hinting with something that isn't all out Nintendo. So, you know, they did typically kind of drop that aesthetic afterwards. It's not in any of the Prime games or in Fusion, as far as I recall, and it definitely wasn't in the Super Nintendo ones, so... You know, I mean, Metroid's always been kind of a weird one for Nintendo because Gunpei Yokoi, the creator of the series, passed away, so they haven't always been sure of what team to give it to. So it always seems to be floating in limbo, especially because it's almost more popular in the West than it is in Japan. So I think I only got the helmet off because... Oh, I got full Zero Suit. I don't think I deserved it. I don't know what my playtime was, but it should have been a lot less. An hour and 29 minutes. Yeah. My item collection is going to be garbage because I knew that I missed almost half the health tanks and half the missiles, and I didn't go back to get any of the other things, so... But... Anyways, that was Metroid Zero Mission, and this kicks off the month of Metroid with me, so hopefully you like. If you do, feel free, once again, to subscribe, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.